A very good evening and Happy New Year to you all, and welcome to A Date with a Dinner Set, programme 233. Oh, hello, Janet. How lovely to see you. Gosh, twice in 1 week. I am honoured. Fantastic. Ski Sunday. Well, no. It would have been appropriate, though, wouldn't it? Well, in some parts of the country, anyway. It was actually the theme music to Grandstand. And I was fascinated to know that Grandstand begun all the way back in 1958. So many of you will remember that, way before my time, obviously. Oh, brother, you're getting closer, but we've already said it's Grandstand. But I realise there is a bit of a 30-second delay. It is a great bit of music. And the other interesting thing about it is that was the third theme tune that Grandstand had. And that one was added to the programme in 1975. And it was that one which stayed all the way until the end of Grandstand in 2007, I believe. Not a programme I watched. However, of course, I always listened to the music and then switched off. It was composed by Mr. Keith Mansfield, who's still very much with us, actually, and a great composer for the KPM Music Library, as well as TV music and some films, and also music for gaming. He also... Apparently, his library music, is used by the NBL in the USA. There you go. You heard it here, didn't you? Good evening, Martin, and good evening, Jeannie. How very nice to see you. So here we are. Another new year. That went quickly, didn't it? Quite bizarre. Now, look, before we go any further, and before we get into sort of music proper, I need weather updates. You know, I've had an update from one area of the country, but I want to know, has anyone had some significant snow? Because certainly around here, it was all expectation around here last night. I mean, it did snow for a bit, but it was a sort of question of blink and you'll miss it, really. That's what happened last night. Quite bizarre. So if you've had an accumulation, as it were, I'd love to know. Yes. It's strange to get excited about such things, isn't it? But that's the way it is. So we have a programme tonight. Well, you'll be very pleased to hear that, obviously, having tuned in. It's programme 233. And the programme tonight has a sort of New Year sort of feel to it throughout. And I think there's something for everyone. We try and do that. So if you're in the chat room and you want to chat along about the music or the composer, the context, what you're having for tea, how your Christmas was, how your New Year was, are you making New Year's resolutions? You don't have to share what they are. In fact, please don't, because otherwise we wouldn't want to hold you to them if you didn't keep them, you know. So I'll have a bit of coffee. That's important. And then we'll get this show on the road. Oh, I did say the snow would melt, didn't I, on the piano from last week? I just knew it would. It was just, we got so smug and warm here in Surrey that it just melted away. Anyway, do enjoy the programme wherever and whenever you are listening. Here we go. Hello, Maggie and Jerry, and hello, Jean. How wonderful to see you. Janet, I was just reading that about Monty and the snowball fight. I do recall a few years back, last time they had snow, that Monty was making snow angels, quite large snow angels, it has to be said. Fantastic. What a way to celebrate your 21st. Amazing. So that was our opening one, and I was playing it, and I was thinking, well, why do I associate that with New Year? And it's not just the word new, but of course it was the song, the theme tune from the film New York, New York. And that was composed in 1975 by Mr. John Kander. He of Kander and Ebb fame, Fred Ebb, his writing partner of so many years. They composed Cabaret in Chicago, amongst other things. And it's such a cracking tune, and it always amazes me that, sorry, I've just given you the wrong date, 1977, can't read my own foul writing. It always amazes me that it was composed that late. It always feels like it's a 1950s standard. Maybe, of course, because it was made famous by Frank Sinatra. However, sorry, noisy coughing. He wasn't the first one, because, of course, in the film, the Martin Scorsese film, New York, New York, it was Liza Minnelli, dear Liza, that sang it. There they are together, and of course Liza has her mouth wide open because she's belting out a real belter of a note, you can tell. And Frank is possibly saying there, do you know what, I've got a bit of a headache going on. They were great pals, and Liza constantly used to tease Frank that he stole her song, because of course he made it into a massive hit when he recorded it, and it was he that was responsible for the great big rallentando that happens towards the end. He sort of stylized it in his own way, but they quite often performed it together. So that was our opening one from 1977, New York, New York. Oh, another little snippet about it, apparently Robert De Niro, who was in that film, didn't like the first version of the song that John Kander and Fred Ebb had produced, and so had a quiet word with them. They thought they'd composed a really good song, but apparently it wasn't liked by Robert De Niro, and so the quote says that in a very short time and in much anger, they composed what you just heard. Isn't it amazing that some of the most amazing pieces of music come out of sort of slightly unusual situations? Oh, wow. That is fantastic. Wow. I hope she has a wonderful time, Maggie. Do say hello to her. Right, so let's press that button, which says that if you like what you are listening to and indeed watching, then do press the thumbs up button. It's the one on my left, and it will illuminate and dance away for you, and that will help our channel. It's the interactions through the comments and through the likes that get our channel noticed and help us get pushed into the algorithm. Okay, let's have a bit of coffee and then something calmer to go on. So, for the benefit of people watching this on catch-up who can't see the chat that's going on, there's a lot of people talking about twiddly bits in this one, in amongst the correct titles, and it was Hannah and then Jill that was first followed by the Robertson household. Probably, brother. My brother is asking whether it was covered by Frank Sinatra, and it's just safe to say probably, on the grounds that he just covered almost everything. However, it was, of course, Blue Moon, as you did mention, from 1934. 1934. And I've put up there the cover of the MANSFIELD version from 1960, I'm going to say 1961. However, that was not the first version by any means. It's just that that version reached #1 in the UK. And the interesting thing about the MANSFIELD's version of it is that only one of them knew the song. They had to record a couple more songs for an album, and only one of them knew it. And he taught the others, but unfortunately he taught them the middle 8 incorrectly. So that's why I've always wondered that. I have, why their version of the middle 8 of Blue Moon is a little bit different, and that's why. It's amazing, isn't it, what goes on? Oh, the composer, I Hear You Cry. It was Mr. Richard Rodgers in his collaboration with Lawrence Hart. Apparently it was quite a frosty working relationship at times. That particular song, Blue Moon, went through 4 iterations of lyrics. So I'm really quite surprised that Lawrence Hart looks quite so smiley there. He had to rewrite the lyric 4 times for various reasons and for various occasions. Anyway, Blue Moon is what it was. So hope you enjoyed that gentle one with the twiddly bits. Just to say that this month on our Friday where's my button? Where's my button gone? Sorry, there it is. The Friday uploads, and I can't believe I've not done this before because he is one of my favourite composers. They're all going to be MICHEL LEGRAND songs. Seemed a good way to start the year. Yes, Alison, indeed, as in Rodgers and Hammerstein. He collaborated with many people, did Richard Rodgers, but before Rodgers and Hammerstein was Rodgers and Hart. So the uploads this month are all MICHEL LEGRAND songs, and the one that went up on Friday the 3rd was What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life? Quite appropriate, really, for the start of the year, with lyrics by Marilyn and Alan Bergman, that amazing team of lyricists. And it really is a wonderful song, a little bit sort of sad and reflective. But that was the first upload that we've put on the channel, and there is a direct link to it underneath this video should you wish to have a little listen and to remind yourselves of what's going on. Good heavens above, folks, we are in the presence of royalty. David and Steffi, how fantastic to see you. Oh, amazing. All the best people are in the chat room tonight, aren't they? That's absolutely wonderful. How exciting. I'm going to have another sip of coffee. I have to say, David, this is very nice coffee. Can't think why. On to our next song. So Alison's saying it's a very jolly walk. Yeah, well, it's pretty cold in the Black Forest, I would think. Indeed, that is what it was. And Jill had that, and my brother did, and Jean. Yes, indeed, it was a walk in the Black Forest, which allegedly was composed in 1965. That is not the case, actually. It was composed back in the 1950s. It first appeared, but the version that we know and love became an international hit in 1965. It was composed by Mr. Horst Jankowski, and he is the king, if you like, of easy listening. He was a classically trained pianist who was actually working in jazz clubs in the 1950s and running a few bands, and just hit the big time with that one. And it really was an amazing So I'm just reading the comment about the coffee and smiling just at the thought of my next sip of coffee. Thank you, David. And losing the thread totally. So A Walk in the Black Forest, the original bit of lift music, if you like, easy listening. It's got a really good beat to it, though. And again, I associate that one with New Year, because in New Year we all should be going for a walk, shouldn't we? I mean, I did walk to the car this morning, and I think that's more than enough, really. So if you haven't done so already and you've happened upon this merry little program and you would like to subscribe to the channel, it is YouTube, so of course it is free. Just press that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of when we are doing things like this live broadcast and the Friday uploads, press the notifications button. As I said before, it is the liking, it's the commenting and the sharing that helps the algorithm to find what we do. I'm reaching for the coffee at this point. Okay, so still in our sort of cold New Year sort of theme now, but something a little bit calmer. We've had it once or twice before. You may not know it, but I hope you will enjoy it. Well done, Hannah. I saw that flip in very quickly. It was by Billy Mayerl, and unusually for Mr. Mayerl, it was in the minor key. He only composed, of his sort of 300 or so famous ones, only about 4 or 5 of them were in minor keys. It is very mellow, Brother Mark. I know you like that word, mellow and gentle, like your good self, sir. From 1938 is when that was composed, and somewhat appropriately for the time of year, it was called The Song of the Fir Tree. And you can see from the sheet music there, he calls it a Swedish impression. And he bases it on a Swedish folk tune. And I was amazed, in fact, double amazed, to discover relatively recently that lyrics had been put to it as well. And it is a really, really, really nice tune, quite different in style from many of his diddly-dumpty type of, that's a technical term, obviously, type of compositions. So you can see the poinsettia is doing quite well at the moment, probably because I've had nothing to do with it. I haven't sort of looked at it, fiddled with it, watered it, overwatered it, moved it, anything. In fact, it must be quite content, because I was noticing during that a spider has set up home within it. Let's see how long we can keep this one alive. I do recall a couple of years ago we managed to keep one going until February. And let's see what happens this year. People who joined us late, we were talking at the top of the programme about the snow or the lack of it, and so anybody that's joined us since, I'd like regional updates. You know, David down from Hampshire, Jean from Wiltshire. I want to know what's going on with the snow. We said before, we saw it last night here in Surrey, but just not very much. Blink and you miss it. That is exactly what's happening. Yeah, I mustn't look at it, Mark. I think that's the thing. If I don't look at that poinsettia, it will probably stay alive. There we go. So here we are on the Magic Water now. Here we are on the 5th of January, our first programme, our first date with a dinner set of 2025. What a stupid way to say that. 2025. I don't know why I said that like that at all. It's programme 233, and people who watch this regularly know that we like to always think about something to celebrate the day with, as if music and your fantastic company isn't enough. Today, I'm laughing at this one. Where do they find them, Jean? Where do they find them, eh? I don't know. Today is National Whipped Cream Day, January the 5th. How bizarre is that? It's bizarre for lots of reasons. Okay, I'm looking at that whipped cream and I'm saying, you know, that looks like it came out of a can, so therefore it's not going to be very nice for a start. Oh, sorry, but just have to leave the whipped cream to have an update from Hampshire on the weather. A 12-inch snowman, fantastic, sir. I'm overjoyed. I am sick as a parrot and over the moon. Excellent. So let's go back from your mounds of white snow to these mounds of rather fake-looking whipped cream on National Whipped Cream Day. So that's one alarming thing. And I don't know, that strikes me as a bit of a waste of a cinnamon stick, really. And it's not going to do much sitting there, in my humble culinary opinion. And the other thing to say about National Whipped Cream Day before we move on, I don't know about you, it seems a strange time of year to be celebrating whipped cream. You know, we're all a bit sort of full, are we not, from Christmas and New Year? And the last thing I want is whipped cream. I want these refreshing flavours. I want flavours that burst, you know, sort of citrusy, fresh things. I'm not going to get them, but one can hope for things. Or a raspberry flapjack. That's what I want. I don't know where that came from. The next one is quite appropriate. It should be a chocolate flake. That other object, what are you talking about, brother? That is the cinnamon stick. That's a cinnamon stick. Yeah? Are we okay with that now? It's just a rubbish picture. So the next one is new to the channel. Well, it's not new to the channel. It's new to the program. It is on the channel actually. Fantastic. I noticed, Alison, you didn't save one for me. No, it's fine. It's fine. You had more important people to cater for. I know. Okay, so we've got a Wiltshire snow update now. Oh gosh, it's amazing. It's weird, isn't it? I think it's all over that side of the country. I don't know, I'm just gesticulating in that direction. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, next bit of music. Somewhat appropriate. Do enjoy. Yes. So we have an update, a last night update from Woking. Yeah, that's about the time I saw a little bit of a little bit of snow, but not very much. So yes, indeed, that started its life as We Three Kings, but I call it We Three and a Half Kings because largely I try and shoehorn it into 7/8 or 7/4, as Hannah said. It's an homage to Dave Brubeck, who was very fond of shifting time signatures. It's just lots of fun to do, but the problem with it is the counting, and you shouldn't do it. And once you start to count, that's when it flips out of that. But that's what it was. We 3.5 Kings, and it was composed. Both the lyrics and the tune were composed in 1857 by the Episcopalian minister John Henry Hopkins. And it was composed for a pageant in New York City. And apparently it is the first sort of mainstream, widely sung carol in America. Well, not like that, obviously. But it goes with a bit of a swing like that, doesn't it, I think. And of course, the reason for having that one this evening is that it being 12th night, it means that tomorrow is Epiphany. And yes, Alison, interesting. You should mention about the visit of the Magi or the kings or the stargazers, whatever they were. Yes, we do like to think that these things happened in rather neat succession. Whatever you believe, whatever version of the tale you believe, there is one that says it was quite a few years later. Well, it's a long way, isn't it? It's a long way to go. And they were sort of, they were following their ancient sat-nav, the star in the sky, and I expect they had a few cloudy nights. That's probably what delayed them. Anyway, that's why we had that one. We 3.5 Kings from 1857. Now, look, we are going into our last bit of music, which is new to the programme again, and it seemed a good swirling way to finish. So do feel free to get up and dance merrily around the room, preferably in 3/4 time. Do enjoy our last bit of music before we say goodnight in our usual way. There we go, a nice New Year waltz to set us on our way. It wasn't by Strauss, it was very much in the style of Strauss, wasn't it? Composed by this grumpy man, I mean Mr. Eric Coates. It was from his Summer Days suite, I know, when we're all talking about snow, the Summer Days suite, and it was called After the Dance, a lovely swirling Straussian waltz from 1919. I really did look for a picture of Eric Coates smiling there. It's not one to be found. Just a serious man, but fantastic music. Well, that was it. That was our first programme 233 of A Date with a Dinner Set of 2025. I nearly said it in a weird way again then. Thank you so much for being here. It's always lovely when there are lots of people chatting away in the chat room. And if you're watching on Catch Up, I do hope you enjoyed our programme. Do keep warm and well in the week that is to come. And I look forward to the great pleasure of playing with you again next Sunday. Do take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening. Good night.